Hi, this is Dr. Jane Smolnik. I'm a naturopathic doctor and a diplomat in holistic iridology, as well as a medical herbalist and a certified intuitive healer. My website is ultimatehealing.com, and I'm based out of Asheville, North Carolina, but I also work with people from all over. So this presentation is about holistic iridology and your comprehensive health analysis and why it is so important to have one done. So why is it so important? Many people just start taking supplements and trying to eat well and figure out what they need to do to improve their health. But I have to ask some questions. Do you know how oxidative stress is impacting your health on a cellular level? How well are your endocrine glands, your thyroid, pituitary, and adrenals all functioning? Do you have hormone or neurotransmitter imbalances? Do you feel depression or irritability or maybe insomnia? These can be signs. How's your digestion and your assimilation of nutrients? You might be eating good, organic, healthy food, but not absorbing your minerals and nutrients well at all, and still be deficient. Are you fatigued, not sleeping well? Do you have any nutrient deficiencies? Is there toxicity located in areas of the body as well, or even acids? So in a comprehensive health analysis, this is what we look for. This is what I do. First of all, everyone starts out with a biochemistry health questionnaire. This is a 3-page online questionnaire on my website. As you answer the questions, it automatically comes to me, and I can review this before our session. It's a symptom analysis for nutrient deficiencies, organs and glands most in need, and so forth. Then we do a vital scan heart rate variability test in my office. This determines how stress is impacting your health on many levels. Then I take photographs of the eyes. I use a microscope with a digital camera, take about 16 eye photos, takes about 5 minutes. And we do a holistic iridology analysis of the eyes. I bring the photos up on my computer and show you the details of what's happening, revealing your strengths genetically as well as levels of health and congestion. And then finally, I put this all together and I use kinesiology, either meridian kinesiology, testing the acupuncture points on the body, or clinical kinesiology, which I can do long distance, to determine your particular needs. What is going to make your body respond the best to? And we put together a personalized, recommended natural health program specifically for you. So the biochemistry questionnaire tells us which organs, glands, body systems are in most need of support. Are things low, medium, high, very high, or off the charts? Do you have adrenal fatigue or adrenal stress, and what stage could that be in? Your need to increase certain vitamins, minerals, iron, essential fatty acids, B vitamins, A vitamins, and so forth shows up, as well as level of toxicity. How's your liver? Do you need molybdenum to neutralize toxins? And what are your symptoms showing, as well as we use this as a marker for improvements, meaning we may have you take the test again 3 months or 6 months down the road, and I can compare side by side what's improving and maybe what hasn't improved yet. So in the office, I do a vital scan heart rate variability test. It's a very easy test. This is a heart rate variability that determines levels of stress in your body. It was developed by a Russian medical doctor as well as a naturopathic doctor. And it simply uses a couple of clips that go on your wrist. It measures 300 heartbeats as well as your electrical system. It takes about 4 minutes. And it's connected to my computer, and these are the results. It shows me 12 different screens and side-by-side results of your initial test as well as any after test as well. So here we see on the left side, Friday, June 26th, 2015. This was at 4:38 p.m. For this client, this is a before and after test. We actually did a light therapy session in between, which took about an hour. And this was her test afterwards, Friday, June 26th, 2015 at 5:54 p.m. And by the way, this will also print out a 6-page report that you take with you in your folder. But let me explain what we're looking at. So the very first one here on the left is your stress index, the effort required for your body to achieve balance. Should be between 10 and 100. She was way off the charts at 289, and that's a red light zone. So I'll explain what some of these colors mean. The green piece of pie here represents your parasympathetic nervous system, and the yellow is your sympathetic nervous system. Both of those comprise your autonomic nervous system. Ideally, our Parasympathetic nervous system, which is the green, should be dominant. This is your ability to rest, repair, renew, digest, take care of your normal functions. Should a stress occur and you're in a stress response, the parasympathetic goes down and the sympathetic shows up. That's the yellow. This is your fight or flight, and stress hormones start to be produced in the body, and your ability to do your normal functions decreases. Very often what I see is many of us are stuck in a chronic stress response. And what happens over a period of time, which is happening at this particular client, is you can exhaust your nervous system as well. So the red section here is the central nervous system. All three for what's ideal. This is your secondary backup system. This says, oh, I just can't do it anymore. Now my body has to produce more neurotransmitters and hormones just to stay balanced. After her light session on the right side here, she was in the green light zone. Her stress index was up to 90, which was great. And we really calmed that central nervous system, and she has a little bit more energy. So the bottom section here is your self-healing potential. On the left, you could see the autonomic nervous system balance should be between 35 and 145. And she was at 392, which is a red light here. Of course, after her light session, she came down to 136, which was excellent, within normal ranges. And then this also tells me about the immune system. SDNN stands for standard deviation from normal to normal. And this is actually your immune system's ability to repair and take care of yourself. Normally, it should be between 55 and 65, and even higher, up to 100 is excellent. This particular person was quite low at 27.8, so the immune system was really low. When you're in a lot of stress, your immune system goes down. After her light session, she came up to 48.7, which was 20 points more, which is excellent. She came back into a balanced state. And then the bar along the right side of the screen says vital force should be between 50 and 500. She was quite low. That's kind of like your chi in your body, your life force. She was very low at 16. That came up to, say 98% or 98 after her light therapy session. So actually that improved quite a bit in just 1 hour. Now we're looking at neurohormonal balance as well as your metabolism. So the top section on the left, neurohormonal regulation, means how well are your neurotransmitters and your hormones regulating themselves. Should be between 50 and 100%. This was quite low at 41%. Of course, after her light session, came right up to 71%, which was excellent. And then the bottom section is your metabolic resources, metabolic energy resources. How much energy does your body have to take care of its normal functions? Should be between 150 and 600. She was quite low here at 89, came way up to 205 afterwards. But let me explain. The blue building blocks here represents your anabolic state. This is your parasympathetic nervous system's ability to build energy resources for you to use, your metabolism. And then the red side here is your catabolic state. This is your sympathetic nervous system is using up energy resources. So you could see her energy was quite low before. Of course, after her light session, she has a lot more energy built up in the body. But ideally, she should be building more than she's using up. So she still has a way to go. But that was definitely an improvement. Now we're looking at the psycho-emotional state and your brainwave functions. So the top section here on the left, psycho-emotional state. How balanced are you? Should be between 50 and 100%. She was quite low at 36%. That improved tremendously to 71% on the right after her light session. The second little circle here is brain toxicity. She was in a yellow cautionary state here. That came up to a green light as far as brain toxicity diminished quite a bit. And then the bottom section, it says WNL, and it's your ICP numbers. What that means is your inflammatory cerebral parameters, so inflammation in the brain, and that wasn't a problem for this person. But then the right side of this section, BNT, these are basically your neurotransmitters. So the first two we're looking at are norepinephrine and epinephrine, And then we look at the dopamine, acetylcholine, GABA, and serotonin. So the neurotransmitters are what keeps us very balanced. Very often what I see, as is indicated here, her GABA was quite low. When I see that happening, I ask, usually what happens is people don't sleep well, they can have insomnia, there's a lot of worry, tension, they have a hard time turning off that busy brain that wants to just have some anxiety. So that can be easily rebalanced. Then the bottom, we look at the brainwave activities. So red is the delta brainwave patterns. These are very slow brain waves, which indicate deep, like unconscious sleep patterns. Theta brain waves in the yellow here is just normal sleep brain waves. The green here is your quiet awake mind when you first wake up in the morning or before you go to sleep at night. The blue indicates the beta brainwave patterns. This is your busy, active thinking mind during the day. So this was during the day. This should have been high. And then the purple here is your gamma brainwave patterns, which indicates more of your spiritual, intuitive, imagination, creativity brainwave patterns. So this particular pattern I see quite a bit. There's a lot of delta brainwaves, which tells me her brain is absolutely fatigued and exhausted. So, of course, after her light session, she had a little bit more delta brainwave patterns and alpha, which was a big improvement. Then we look at the biorhythms and biological aging. So the top section tells me about your level of biorhythmic coherence. That means how well are your 600 body functions working together in coherence. This was quite low. Should was very low at 19%. Of course, after her light session, improved tremendously up to 62%. That's excellent. And then the biological aging on the bottom section. This was a 50-year-old person, and her body felt 4 years older, like a 54-year-old when she first came in. And then after her light session, she felt 10 years younger. So now her body biologically felt like a 40-year-old just after her light therapy session, which was excellent. Now we're going to look at your functional states and health index. So the top section here shows you the green colored pie sections. So the blue represents the cardiovascular health. So this was quite low at 19%, which means when you're in a highly stressed state, you are often in a higher risk for heart disease. Of course, after her light session, we opened up, we relaxed the stress, increased her nitric oxide, opened her circulation, and this came up to 62%, which was excellent. Then the green pie represents the autonomic nervous system and how balanced it is. This was quite low at 25%. It really shot up to 75% after her light session. The orange pie is neuro-hormonal regulation. This was only at 41%. Again, that's neurotransmitters and hormone balance. And this went way up to 71% after her light session. And then the violet color here represents the psycho-emotional state at 36% and 71%, which was a great improvement after. So all these things I explain in more detail when you come in for your session, but I'm just going over what we're looking at. The bottom section represents your health index, basically. So the blue section of pie represents the average health for somebody your age. So the average 50-year-old, this is their level of health. And this person felt 13% less healthy than the average. Of course, after her light session, the blue pie remained the same. But she now felt 28% more healthy, much healthier than the average 50-year-old. So she had a great improvement in her health. Then we look at mineral and hormonal balances. The first two are your potassium and sodium levels. Are they balanced or out of balance? Then we look at magnesium and calcium levels. Where are they? And then we look at the inflammation index, which should be very low to no inflammation. This inflammation was quite high. That reduced quite a bit after her light session. Then the next two are the adrenal hormones. We look at the cortisol and DHEA levels. Of course, her cortisol levels were through the roof. It was quite high because she was in a very high stress response and was pretty exhausted. Then we looked at estradiol, which is estrogens, and then pregnenolone. Those are a bit out of balance as well. Pregnenolone is a hormone that is a natural precursor to help you produce all of your hormones. Then we look at the insulin level. That was also quite high. When you're in a high stress response, your body will actually take any kind of glycogen and turn it into glucose, which is sugar, for energy, to help you deal with whatever is occurring. And then we look at the thyroid hormones. T4 to T3 conversion was also quite low for her. And then the bottom bar here, your TFI, is actually your thyroid inflammatory factor. And she had a lot of inflammation in the thyroid, which was an indication of thyroiditis. Then I look at your peak performance index. This is how are your endurance levels, your energy levels. The average for this person, for a 50-year-old, was 4.3, and her rate was 3.0. Of course, after her light session, her peak performance index came up to 7.0. Now she had much more energy to perform any kind of functions, which was excellent. And then we're going to look at the meridians as well as your total power. So the meridians are 12 different meridians, are like streams of river that flow and bring energy to different parts of the body. And they can divert energy away from certain areas and bring them to other areas when they need more attention. So here the green sections indicate normal chi flow or energy flow to these particular meridians. Yellow is just a little bit less of a flow, but the red indicates a real deficiency in energy going here to the liver as well as the pericardium. Blue is a little bit of excess energy going to her stomach to help her digest. And the purple is an extreme excess. Her heart was extremely deficient. Remember, at only 19%, that was requiring the most energy. Of course, after her light session, that came back into balance a little bit more. And then the bottom bar here says total power. That's like your battery charge. She was hitting the red zone here at 760. Of course, after her light session, she came up into the green zone of 2,246. So her battery definitely got charged, which was great, and she has a lot more energy. And the meridians are more balanced. This test also shows us your chakras, which are your energy centers in the body. These bring energy to the particular organs as well as endocrine glands in all particular areas, the 7 particular areas of the body. So the top here, the purple, is your crown chakra, relates to the brain as well as the pituitary pineal hypothalamus gland. That's at 35%. Of course, after her light session, it came way up to 70%. The second one is actually the third eye. That was originally at 42%. That also came up to 70%. Then the blue indicates the throat chakra. That could relate to the throat, your expression, communication in the world, as well as your thyroid. That was only at 40%. That jumped up to 71%. Then the green is the heart chakra. How open is the heart? This was quite low at 24%. That also jumped up to 73%. The yellow indicates the solar plexus chakra. This also has to do with the stomach, digestive organs, as well as adrenals. And this was only at 33% and jumped up to 67%. And then orange is your sacral chakra. This indicates your intestines as well as the reproductive areas. That was at 30%. That increased to 60%. And then the root chakra. How grounded are you? This also indicates your bones, muscles as well. That was very low at 18%, and now it's up to 61%. So great improvement, much more balanced. And sometimes I will do this before and after, not just with light therapy, but when you initially come in, we do your first vital scan test. And then we may be working on certain things to improve your levels of health. And it could be 3 months down the road that we do your vital scan test again and see what's improving and what still needs more help. So now I want to explain holistic iridology. Then we take your eye photos, bring them up on the computer, and we go over them together. This reveals your level of health, inflammation, toxicity, and degeneration in the human body. It also provides a painless and very economical means of assessing the body for early detection of health imbalances. And it's invaluable for preventive health care. Look at that beautiful picture. Everybody's eyes are completely unique. Your eye is the most complex tissue structure of the body that's visible from the outside, and it's connected to every organ and tissue of the body by way of the brain and the nervous system. It's also in direct contact with the bioenergetic, biochemical, structural, hormonal, and metabolic processes of the body by way of the nerves, blood vessels, muscle fibers, and lymph. So I don't necessarily need to do blood analysis, hair analysis, urine analysis, which can all add up to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars, because we can see a lot of this stuff already indicated. Each eye gives us different information, and everybody's eyes are completely unique. The left eye tells me about the left side of the body, and the right side of the brain, which is the feminine, creative, conceptual, intuitive side, and your emotional self, your personal relationships. The right eye tells me about the right side of the body, and the left side of the brain, which is the analytical, practical, linear, your masculine side. So we're looking at the feminine, masculine sides, maternal and paternal genetic patterns. So here's a chart of holistic iridology. This was done by Dr. David Pesic, who was one of my teachers, and I have a collection of charts from iridologists around the world, and they all correlate together pretty well. Dr. Pesic really developed holistic iridology because he was a psychotherapist as well and developed the brain patterns even further. So iridology is really used by medical doctors around the world, and they can diagnose with it. In the United States, we cannot diagnose disease with iridology, but we can determine the assessment of your health and levels of degeneration, health, toxicity, and so forth to help with a preventive health program. So what is actually seen in the eyes? We can see your genetic predispositions to health and disease. Like, do you have a predisposition for diabetes or Alzheimer's or heart disease and a number of different things? Your general constitution, how strong is your constitutional strength and the state of your organs, your tissues, and your glands. Your digestive and assimilation difficulties, toxicity and accumulations, acid buildup, the effects of stress, and more. Your thought and emotional patterns, and even your deeper soul level issues. There's really a story here. This is what I call your universal blueprint. So I can see your particular pattern does not change. Levels of congestion, toxicity may change, but your blueprint remains the same. That's why they use it for identification. And I can see what are the biggest challenges that you're here to work through in this particular lifetime. So I want to just explain there are actually 3 true eye colors. True blue is really just a blue eye. There's no other color seen, and it's considered, we call it lymphatic. It's a true blue eye. Actually, everybody's eyes, even brown eyes, have blue underneath it, which is interesting. And then a true brown eye is called hematogenic. This is a deep, dark, chocolatey brown. You don't see other colors necessarily. So this is very commonly seen in some cultures like Asian, Afro-American, Indian cultures, Hispanic cultures as well, tend to have more browner eyes. And then biliary is what we call a mixed eye color. Most of us commonly call this a hazel eye or sometimes a green eye, and it just means blue and brown-eyed ancestry. Sometimes it can be a light brown, sometimes it's more blue with some color pigments. I'll show you some photos in a moment. Now coming to the next slide. This particular slide I used for teaching a while back, and I labeled some things so you could easily see. Up at the top, you can see how this poor cerebral circulation. You can notice around the bottom edges, it's nice and full. The iris goes out to the edge. But at the top, it's much thinner and faded. There's a tendency here for lymphatic congestion. The thyroid is a bit underactive and weak. There's a weakness in the bronchus here. Going down toward the bottom, there's over acid body pH. This person's holding on to a lot of acids, needs to alkalize. Then we see a genetic weakness in the pancreas. So sometimes we look at the head and tail of the pancreas and how well you're producing your pancreatic enzymes as well as insulin production. We see some stress and tension rings in this particular eye, not too many. And then the darker color around the edge is underactive skin elimination. So our skin is actually our largest eliminatory organ, and we do excrete a lot of toxins through our sweat. Now, this particular eye, this is kind of a light brown eye. This shows cholesterol, this white ring, which is actually up inside the cornea. Some cholesterol plaque or inorganic sodium building up. A weakness in the heart here. Poor cerebral circulation up at the top. There's a tendency for sinus congestion as well as some leaky gut. But yet, overall, a fairly strong constitution. This is a mixed eye color. High stress. Do you see the stress lines going around? Kind of like when you were to cut a tree trunk in half, you see the rings. These stress rings indicate a higher need for B vitamins. The body's trying to release an excess buildup of energy. There's also a liver weakness and a level of congestion and toxicity that's impacting it. I see a low pituitary gland, as well as a nice strong brain. This particular eye is mostly a blue eye, but we do see some color pigments here. There is some fatty digestion, poor fat digestion, and a buildup of fat in the arteries. There's some acid plaque, especially in the brain area. Poor carbohydrate digestion. I see a prolapse in the transverse colon. There's low hydrochloric acid and poor digestion of nutrients, and poor cerebral circulation. So things that we can easily repair, or strengthen, I should say. This particular eye is a mixed eye color again. Shows us a tendency for hormone challenges. We have to really look at the endocrine glands here. Blood sugar metabolism is more of a challenge. We see a lot more orangish pigment, which can tell me that there's some pancreatic residue or digestion of carbs. The adrenal is a genetic weakness as well. And the liver has a bit of a weakness. So that's just a few things. This particular eye, blue eye, has a thyroid weakness, tendency for lymph congestion. There's low hydrochloric acid, and left ovary is also weak. I also see poor calcium assimilation. This particular eye has some heavy challenge with yeast and sugars, way too much sugar, producing a lot of fungus and yeast in the body. The lymph is quite congested in that way. They're not digesting these carbohydrates well, and the thyroid is underactive. They most likely have some weight issues as well because of that. So some of the things that iridology reveals is your primary nutritional needs, the constitutional strength or weakness of your organs, glands, and tissues, what organs in the greatest need of repair or strengthening, your lymphatic system and immune challenges, thought and emotional patterns, personality patterns, your nerve force and nerve depletion, the effects of stress, the relative amounts of toxic settlements in the organs and tissues, circulation in different organs, poor cerebral circulation, as well as we see tissue inflammation, whether it's acute, sub-acute, difficulties digesting carbohydrates, fats, proteins, or sugars. The colon, spasms, strictures, other irritations, pockets, or ballooning of the bowel, hypotonic, buildup of cholesterol, plaque, or inorganic salts in the arteries, tissues, and brain. High-risk tissue areas in the body that may lead to disease. Buildup of toxic material before the manifestation of disease. Sometimes 5-10 years before you manifest something, we can see that you have signs moving in that direction, and we can correct that before it actually comes out as an illness or disease. The results of mental or physical fatigue or stress, and the need to rest to build up your immune system. We also see poor absorption of calcium and minerals or even iron assimilation, the need for probiotics in the bowels, the need for hydrochloric acid, pepsin, pancreatin, which are digestive juices, as well as enzymes. Is there pressure on the heart, venous congestion, hyper or hypoactivity of the organs or glands, underactive or over, tissue areas contributing to suppressed or buried symptoms, predisposition for things like heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, cancers, arthritis. This is in for preventive health care. If you know you're carrying that genetic predisposition, that means those areas came in weaker and need more nutrients and attention to strengthen them so you do not develop any of those conditions. Also, microorganisms, parasites, yeast, fungus, or even viral infection actually seen in the whites of the eyes. So let's take a look at sclerosis. Sclerology, which is analysis of the whites. We'll do just a quick overview. The sclera gives us more immediate information regarding the current pathology and conditions in the body. What's going on right now? Healing signs will show up first, which is why good photographs are important so we can compare. And varying levels of congestion, arterial buildup, fatty buildup, the immune system being compromised, the encapsulation of tumors forming, microbial, parasitic, and fungal problems, all can be seen in the whites. Is there tissue hardening or drug settlement in organs, even from pharmaceutical drugs over extended periods? Is there an insufficiency in organ function, and many other signs? Imbalances in the meridian energy register in the sclera. Serious warning signs can be seen before the symptoms become manifest, which is really invaluable for natural preventive health care. So this particular eye, what I see is the immune system is becoming compromised. There's a lot of congestion, this venous congestion here. It's really impacting the immune system. There's decalcification happening in the bones as well from too much acids in the body, and just some of it's normal wear and tear and congestion on the body. Here, there's a lot of congestion. I see an indication of candida or yeast. A lot of congestion in the pancreas, as well as coming up toward some irritation in the back. The colon's a little bit congested. Sometimes we can see emotional stress as well as excess use of either microwaves or too much radiation, X-rays in the body, and that effect. Allergies can be seen as well. This particular sign is, I see a viral infection pocket that definitely needs to be addressed. And some congestion. I would look at the pancreas as well as the colon and congestion in that area. So your eyes are absolutely unique and beautiful. People often experience a deeper level of compliance and compassion for themselves after looking so deeply in their own eyes and understanding your strengths, your beauty, your challenges, your weaknesses, what you're working through in this lifetime. So be inspired to discover your personal keys to self-empowerment, which is one of the things I discuss when we look at the eyes. What virtues are you here to master? So what is your greatest challenge and how do you turn that around? So it could be you're really here to learn more about compassion or integrity, honesty, a number of different things. What do you need as well to thrive in your body? So I put together a personalized natural health program. We find out exactly what your body needs to thrive. We eliminate deficiencies, help you digest better, assimilate the nutrients better, maybe even adjust your diet for things that you're not digesting well and what things your body really wants more of. How do we release the buildup of stress in your body and support your endocrine balance, get your endocrine glands to function more in a more balanced way? That can relieve depression, improve your sex drive, a number of different things. Reduce the toxins, microbes, fungus, or viral pockets that might be seen. And eliminate the oxidative stress damage that we all have that accumulates and contributes to all diseases, basically. And strengthen the immune system. So you can look, feel, and perform, and even sleep better. And that's absolutely true. So with Holistic Iridology, they're the windows to the soul. And again, my name is Dr. Jane Smolnik. I'm a naturopath and iridologist based in Asheville. So I also do long-distance health consultations available by phone. Please visit my website at ultimatehealing.com, or you can give me a call at 828-777-JANE, which is 5263. And I look forward to talking to you soon. You may even call for a free 15-minute consultation to ask some questions and determine if this is right for you or which one of my services would be best. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much.